All right, good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Great to see your faces. Say this every week. I was, uh, let's see, I was on vacation last week. It was a much needed vacation, and it kind of helped that I didn't have cell service a lot of the time because that helped me really unplug. I find that I have a very hard time unplugging, and I was kind of forced to, which that can be a blessing and a curse because when you're forced to unplug and then it's kind of like the old gym scenario where like you don't go to the gym for a day, okay, but then you don't go for 3 days and then it's hard to go. Same with being unplugged because by like 3 days in, I was like, okay, it's really nice just being off the grid and enjoying relaxing, and I don't know what that's like typically. So anyhow, vacation is over and back in the swing of things. Rand just got back from 2 weeks gallivanting all over the globe, but she's back, although not with no voice. And Tammy was traveling and had a hiccup or two on her travels, and but she's surviving, right? Anyhow, so it's great to be back. It's great to see your faces. And we will have Cubicle tomorrow. In case I forget to mention this at the end of the call, we will have Cubicle tomorrow. So virtual work hours. Looking forward to that. And let's get started with a couple announcements. Okay. And I know we have a lot of new faces on tonight. Hello, I'm Melissa. Tammy Frazier and Andrea Hatch are also the Superstar Directors heading up this call. And it's great to see you guys. Okay, a couple announcements that came out from on the news tab. Ezra the Elephant Scentsy Buddy Clip was incorrectly designated in the catalog, wrong scent. So it says in the catalog that Ezra the Elephant Buddy Clip is has the fragrance Berry Blessed, and it is actually Berry Bright. And so they are changing the packaging and the marketing and the digital catalogs to reflect Berry Bright as the fragrance with that buddy clip. However, our print catalogs will incorrectly state Berry Blessed. So calling your attention to that. Also calling your attention to, there was a tester missing from the tester sets. If you purchased a transition set, Experiment 624 Angels fragrance was missing from the tester set. And so if you purchased a tester set, you will have a product credit on your workstation to be able to add that tester to an order. And the reason why we're bringing this up, I know this is on the news tab, but the reason we're bringing it up is because not everybody knows how to redeem that product credit if they purchase the tester. And so when you add a tester, testers can only be added on the workstation. They can't be added on the PWS. But when you're putting in an order on the workstation, you can add that tester, the 624 tester, put it in your cart, and then when you go to checkout, in the payment section, one of your options for payment is product credit. So you would select that product credit little radio button, and the product credit for that tester will be whenever they get that loaded. I didn't check before the call to see if that has been loaded yet, but that product credit option is how you would redeem that. And then once you redeem the product credit, and some of you may find that you have product credit in there that you didn't even know about. Because if you get a, oh gosh, Tammy, you nodded. So help me with what are some of the ways that you would have product credit?
The sponsoring, the mentoring.
Yeah,
what
that's the $25.
The $25, yeah.
The $25. So if you had somebody hit, like if you got Sensational's Trainer Award.
Yep, the Trainer Award.
Or Sensational Start, you get product credit.
Yeah.
So that gets loaded in there. And sometimes you'll have product credit from adjustments that have been made, or, I mean, you never know. Sometimes you pop in there and you're like, oh, how did I get a product credit? But I have one. And so it's something to definitely check. But once you use that product credit, then you'll be able to submit your payments the rest of the like you normally do. But yeah, just wanted to let everybody know because the announcement in the news tab did not explicitly state how to redeem that. It said product credit would be loaded, but I wanted to take it one step further and let you know that's how you redeem it, is in the payment section on your workstation. Select product credit and it'll pop up. I think those were the two major announcements. The Harry Potter collection is still available. We checked right before this call. Both the Honeydeuce collection and the warmer are still available, not sold out yet. So to me, that is an amazing warmer for the price point. I actually am shocked. I was shocked to see that it was a $55 warmer. I thought for sure that warmer was going to come out at like $75 or $85. And so 55 is definitely a great price point. And so it's still available. So still market it. It is still available. Share it with your Harry Potter fans. And that's that. Okay. Let me check the chat really quickly. And then we are going to dive into, oh yes. Okay. Trisha was so excited. Yeah. I was excited about that warmer. Again, not a Harry Potter fan, but I love that warmer and had to have it because I think it's so cool. And I have a Scentsy hoarding problem. Okay. Don't give me a raised eyebrow, Pooja. I saw that. Okay, so tonight we're talking about events, and one of the ways that how I want to start off talking about events is that I'm an event girl. I've been an event girl pretty much since I became a consultant. I probably started doing events with Scentsy about a year after I became a consultant. I figured that was the easiest and best way for me to get my name out there and to meet people outside of the circle that I had been selling to for the past year being a consultant. And I was right. That's how I've built the majority of my customer base of people that I don't know, is by meeting them at events. I remember doing my first events and not having, my very first event that I did, I had a few items to display. I was adamant that I was not selling any of those items, that those were my displays. And so when people came up and they wanted to purchase something, I was like, oh no, but I'll order that for you because this is my display. This is my demo. And I remember packing up all of that stuff to bring home. And I thought, you fool. You fool. You turned people away that wanted to purchase from you for something that was sitting right on your table because you were so adamant that those had to be your demo and display warmers. And it was at that moment that I realized if it is sellable and on my table, it has a price tag and anybody can go home with it, because I would much rather have somebody leave an event with a product that I have right there with my name on it than them walk away and never purchase Scentsy from me again. Now, when I did do my first events, I did not have a lot of stock. Like I said, I had items on display for the different product categories. And let's be real, the product categories back then were warmers and wax, and a scent circle or room spray. And I think that's it. But I didn't have a lot of it. And I just as readily took orders for things, just as if I will, if somebody came up and was wanting to buy something and I didn't have it, I absolutely was all about them placing an order and making sure that I could establish a relationship with them as quickly as possible so that they would know, love, and trust me. But moving forward, so 15 years later, 16 years later, I still do events. I have done everything from small events to large events. It still is, like I said when I started talking, it still is one of the best ways to meet people outside of the circle you're currently selling to. It is a great way to get your name out there. It is a great way to meet people, not only meet new customers, but to also meet new people to network with that can let you know about other events going on. So I was the queen of networking with other vendors to find out what their calendars looked like so that I could find out what events I was missing out on. But you develop relationships with show promoters and event coordinators, other vendors, volunteers that are working the event. There are so many other facets than just making new contacts and meeting new customers. So one thing, so Rachel, I'm want to just interview you for a second. I don't want to put you completely on the stand to just run the call, but I want to interview you for a second because Rachel
Yeah.
just had an event this past weekend. Her display actually was what I used in the call graphic for today. Her beautiful table, and I'll show you if you didn't see it. Um, Hold, please. I'm getting it. Um, of course I am. You could probably show it faster than I could, Rachel, at this point, because I feel the
Oh,
pressure. No, I have it. It's right here.
okay.
So here's Rachel's display. Let me make myself big for just a second so that I can show you guys this. Okay. So I'm going to let you just look at this for a minute. Let it focus. So this was Rachel's display from this past weekend. Sorry, it's shaky. Okay. So you guys are getting, I love what you do with the crates, Rachel. It makes such a difference and such a statement on the table. It makes the table look so much more full than just laying everything flat on the table. You have done a fantastic job. And there's
Thank
really, I
you.
mean, there's a good amount of product out there, but it's not a ton. You're not showing up with truckloads and truckloads of product.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
Um,
I do have to, before, like, as far as designing goes, I do have to give credit. Half of it is to Megan. So just like a preface is that when I do events, I have done some on my own, but I have Megan Pardon, who's one of my downline. It's her and I together that come up with this. So I can't take credit for design of just me. It's also her.
okay.
But sometimes I feel like less is more. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I feel like less is a little more, but okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm adding, okay. Um, so how did you find out about this event?
This actually is an event I went to last year for the first time, and she emailed me back and invited me back. I went to her in the fall. It was not a good turnout. It was outside. It was super windy. Maybe 15 people showed up. Everyone packed up early. But she emailed me back in January and said that she was having an event last weekend, and she'd love for me to come back. And to be honest, there was no surprise. Maybe 20 people showed up this time, but at least it was inside. But like last time, every single person who came in came to the Scentsy table. Every single person.
Yep.
And so that is what had me come back this time around. So I thought, what if it happens 2 times in a row? And it did. So that's how I heard about this one.
Yep. Okay. So reviewing, this was all because you did that event with her initially, that she reached
Yes.
back out to you for future
Yes.
events.
Yes.
And though you never know, I'm going to say this, and I want you to remember this. And Rachel, you know, I've said this to you so much in the past. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know. There could be only 20 people that come through. And I know Debbie Kuhn is shaking her head too, because she has had this same experience as well. You never know who you are going to meet. I mean, I remember being at an event, and when time got slower at the event, the two vendors across from my table ended up joining my team because they were like, okay, your table's busy, there's not a lot of traffic, we've watched you. And that's something that I don't want to forget to mention. A lot of times at events, other vendors will say, gosh, I've watched your booth be so busy. I've seen everybody stopping at your booth, and then they feel like they have to come check it out. And then you start a conversation with them. But I've actually had other vendors join my team because they're watching my booth get action and getting people coming in and people smelling the bars and laughing and having a good time and actually smiling. And so you never know who you are going to meet. That's right.
I think that, I won't go too far, but I also texted you something else that happened this
Yes.
weekend, and it happened at that event. Had I
So
not been there.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, again, maybe like 20 people showed up. I mean, we had other vendors leaving their table to come to our table. And there was a lady there they were selling crochet things, and she came up. I had the air purifier turned on. And she had just kind of came up to it. She's like, oh my gosh, what is this? And so we explained it to her, and she only knew about warmers and waxes. And I'm not sure. I kind of just told her how I use it at home, how I use the air purifier and why I love it. I showed her the features and how we use it at home. Boom, I sold my first air purifier on the spot. Not only did I sell her the air purifier, I also then sold her a few other things that got her enough to have her own personal shopping link, like more beyond the air purifier, cashed in her rewards on the spot, and I gained like a lot of PRV from that, right? We all know how much a purifier is, right? And so, and then on top of that, she lives like 15, 20 minutes away from me. So that's, I gained a new customer in that. You know, I never thought I would ever sell an air purifier a day in my life. But it just happened so organically and so naturally. And had I not been there on Saturday, mind you, an hour before that, I was like, oh my gosh, why did I do this to myself again? I was like, no one's coming. Literally, had I not gone to that vendor event, I would not have the PRV I have tonight because of that air purifier and all the other things that she got on top of that.
Yeah. So a customer comes into your booth. What's your style? What's your approach?
I usually just say hi to them. I just say hi to them. I don't kick Scentsy right off from the bat. I kind of see like what they're looking at. Maybe I'll compliment them about something, a genuine compliment, not like a compliment that they're going to hear me give someone else. And you know, when they do start looking at the bars or whatnot, I'll just be like, what do you like? What's your favorite scent? Or how do you like your house to smell? And so based on what they tell me, 9 times out of 10, I have something similar. If I don't have a bar that smells like that, because I don't always do, I always have my testers with me, right? So I can just pull out the tester and still give it to them because I can always take that order, assuming that they're local. And so they will kind of get in that way. Or sometimes they're just looking at like the Harry Potter and the Disney stuff. So I have the opportunity to like brag about Scentsy and how we have this license gig with them and we can offer these products. And sometimes that's a selling, you know, so when we talk about, oh, have you been to Disney? What resort do you like to stay at? So then it's just kind of organic. I talked to a lady who came up and she had seen a bracelet I had on and she's like, you must be a baseball mom. And I'm like, yep, I am. We talked about that, right? And then she ended up coming in. But then also you have people who come to the table and they don't really want to talk and they just want to grab their 6 bars because they know they deal and they found someone with Scentsy. So it very much all depends, but I'm going to tell you, don't shoot the salesy right away. Like get to know them, like be personable. I see other vendors doing, oh, well, this is this much, this is this much, this is this much. Just don't. Just be yourself, be personable, and just start from somewhere. We all have something in common. It's,
And I love that. And I know that we've gone, I mean, you and I have had, multiple conversations about what's the right approach or, should I try this and should I do this? And it really is, it's kind of finding your groove. Wouldn't you agree?
oh yeah.
It's finding what's comfortable for you, what comes and like you said, kind of just being more organic and being a listener to pick up on the cues that they're dropping, or, you're overhearing them say, oh my gosh, I love Scentsy so much, or, to the friend that they're with. And, because then I always jump in and I'm like, me too. That's why I sell it. Cause I need to support my own habit. And, the fastest way that I can get people to connect with me and laugh, I find gets people to drop their shoulders and want to linger in my booth a little bit longer. Do you collect customer information?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And how do you do that?
So actually mind you, I'll go back more on like what we've done in past events, but this weekend though, because of the Harry Potter stuff coming out, we did have some Harry Potter stuff out, as you saw, and a couple people were like, oh my gosh, we love it, but they already have all the Harry Potter stuff we have. So it's a great way to be like, hey, what's your phone number? Let me get your phone number. I'm going to send you the link when stuff launches, or I'm going to send you like the website so you can see all the Harry Potter stuff, because we had this coming out on Monday. So that was super easy to grab their info. We've done contests, like I've done contests and just to give away like something for free, like, hey, fill this out and then I'll pull a name at the end. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy expensive, like a room spray and a scent circle. And maybe if they're local, you'll drop it off with some samples, or if they're not, put some samples in the mail and send it to them. It doesn't have to be, when you say, oh, it's a giveaway, you're not saying how much you're giving away. Like, you could, so we do a lot of that, but if they make a purchase, we're filling out the order form. We are, here's my QR code, here's a business card. What's your email address? Like there's just different ways that we've done it, you know.
Yeah. Because it's important if somebody's stopping, and especially obvious. I mean, if somebody's buying something, there is no reason why they're walking away without you getting at least their contact information to be able to follow up with them, add them to your email list, add them to your contact list. I have a QR code that I put in a picture frame that sits right on where I check people out. And as I'm checking them out, I'm saying to them, scan this QR code. It's just going to ask you 2 questions, but this will allow me to keep in touch with you. And I won't bombard you, but I will keep you in the know with Scentsy. And they click the QR code. It just asks for name and phone number, because then after the event, I follow up and text them and say, it was so great meeting you at such and such event. It was great talking to you. And, I will, whatever I end up saying, I'll be in touch or whatever. I typically actually respond when I do that with a picture of myself as well, so that they can remember this is who I am, puts the name with the face and things like that. But
And I have to say, like, there's so much buy-in in that, right? Because I mean, Melissa probably can tell you too, like, I'm still getting people who have never heard of Scentsy. And that to me is like mind blowing. I'm like, what? You've never heard of Scentsy? So
yeah.
like they obviously don't have a Scentsy person. Or I met somebody at my last event who's like, I just moved to this area. I'm still getting to know people. Like, boom. You know what I mean? Like getting their info is like,
Yep.
that's why that's one of the reasons why you do to these things, you know?
Yep. The QR code does point to a jot form that just asks for their name and phone number. But you can do that a million different ways. Everybody collects information a little bit differently. You don't have to use jot form in order to do that. I know if we asked 10 different people on this call how they collected customer information, there'd probably be 10 different ways, because you could just ask for their phone number and shoot them a text right back then and there. It just kind of depends. For me, I'm really trying to funnel people to my VIP page, because that's where I'm spending a lot of my time these days. And so I want their contact information so that I can follow up with them and give them the link to my VIP page. And even taking it a step further, this is a side note on VIP pages, is recently I've been going through my friends list on Facebook and looking at people's names and knowing that they're not on my VIP page, and actually reaching out to them personally and saying, hey, I noticed you're not on my VIP page, but you buy Scentsy from me. Join my VIP page, because that's where all the good stuff's happening. But I've gotten more people to join my VIP page by personally reaching out and saying, why aren't you here, basically, than just doing a bulk invite of people. So that was just a side note. But okay, so going back to collecting information, following up after the event. Yes.
Yeah. So my way that I like to get a lot of information, and they go straight to my project broadcast. I of course want them, like Melissa said, in my group, but also on project broadcast, because I've
Yep.
literally been spending the past 3 months trying to leverage that and build that up, because I have found reward in that.
Yep.
And so what I typically will do is I will go in project broadcast like that day or that night while I'm still like in event mode, and I'll schedule it. So I'm not sending it to them within, I'm giving them some time to let them warm their wax or use their pods. And then I'll set it up for like a couple, like, one, and then maybe like 2-3 weeks after that. Just so it's already like scheduled. I don't have to think about it. They'll respond when I, send it out. And even that way, like, even if they're like, oh yeah, like I'm doing good, I've still talked to them. They still remember me. And, when the more events that I do and being in local spots, you'll see that sometimes you find the same people and customers remember you, or they're like, I had a lady come up to me and she's like, I know who you are. I had no idea who she was, you guys, not a clue. She's like, I know who you are. I was like, you do? She's like, yeah, you're the Scentsy girl. And I was like, uh-huh. And she actually is in my VIP group, and shame on me for not, I'd met her through a social. She joined my group. She placed orders, but I'd never had met her in person. And so, but that was really cool then, because she's bringing other people. She's like, that's my Scentsy girl that I was telling you on Facebook. Like they're just followed, but I wouldn't have gotten that if I wouldn't have followed up with her the multiple times that I did. Right. Even, so Yeah, I feel like I would maybe be wasting my time a little bit if I didn't take their contact to follow up, because like I said, there's a lot of people out there who haven't heard of Scentsy. And if they haven't heard of Scentsy, they don't have a consultant. And for some of these people who are coming up to your booth and they're buying 6, 12 bars of wax because they haven't had a Scentsy, they haven't seen a Scentsy consultant, they obviously don't have one. Like, let that be us, let that be me.
Yeah, I love that. Did you, let's see. Oh, um, anything else you want to add? Anything that you've learned or any other little tip or tidbit?
I think that for those of you who don't know me, I'm just a lead consultant. That's all, that's what I am. So know that like it doesn't matter where you are in this branch of Scentsy, but like I'm showing you that like you can still do that. Just because, Melissa, you see Melissa's pictures, or you see maybe Debbie Kuna's pictures, or whatever the case is, like we're all just doing what our business allows us to do. It doesn't have to be big. I was talking to one of my downline yesterday, and she's like, I don't know what. I was like, take your catalogs, take your samples, take whatever you got to do, take your own warmers and just show them how it works, And so know that like you can do this at any part of your business. It may look different, but that's fine. You're still doing it. I personally told myself I was going to start events like a while ago. Melissa's been holding my hand through this whole thing because this is like a way to get out of my comfort zone. This is a way to expand my business. This is like, so just know that like as you do more events, like now it just kind of becomes your left hand. You become more comfortable and confident. I look forward to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
don't.
you never know who you're going to meet. Like I have met people that I'm now friends with from an
Mhm.
event, and I'm like, this is it's great. And some Dawn said that she loves that you said it can be at any level, any size. And that was really the goal of tonight, was to tell everybody that it doesn't matter how new or how veteran you are, what your title is, how much inventory you have or haven't. It doesn't make a difference. We all have the same opportunity to do an event. And if you don't have a ton of inventory to sell, then you're going into the event with the goal of making contacts, getting somebody to maybe want a party link or a party, or to learn more about the business. Because remember, if people haven't heard of Scentsy, then Scentsy as a company and as a business is new to them, and they may be interested in joining because they don't think that it's been around forever and there's so many consultants. And so there's so many different opportunities that present themselves that you wouldn't have if you didn't put yourself in that space. I will tell you that one of my event mottos, and this is just me, this is me, but and I know that I'm crazy, but like I don't take a chair to my events because I always, and I know that's not possible for everybody to be able to stand that amount of time. For me, I don't take a chair because if I have a chair, I'll sit in it, and my butt shouldn't be in a chair. I should be in the booth talking to people. And
Yeah,
so,
don't be one of those people on your phone, just sitting
yep,
there on your phone. Your warmers will block your face. They're gonna walk by. Don't do that.
yep. And that's, I think, my point in saying that is not that you can't take a chair, or I'm not making you feel bad if you take a chair. But what I'm saying is, I know how I feel when I walk by a booth and I see somebody completely just not engaging with what they're there to promote or sell or talk about. And it makes it like I don't know. I want somebody that's excited about the products to get me excited about their products. And so I am always in the space. If there's nobody in my booth, I'm straightening up my table. Or if there's nobody there, like I am making myself look like I am making things perfect and touching, and I'm still picking up bars of wax and smelling them and putting them down, and ready to engage with people that walk in. All right. Rach, thanks for letting me put you in the hot seat. I
I
appreciate it.
think Laura
Congratulations.
had a I think Laura
Oh,
had a
did
question.
she?
I could answer the first part. You can answer the second part though. Just I was gonna say I find events just either through like repeat events, like I was just talking about, through people, through like other vendors that I've made contacts with while, and Larry and Melissa talked about networking. That's so true. Oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm gonna be there too. So like, exchanging those, contact info. There is a lot of stuff posted on Facebook. There are many groups. I would tell you though, I would just be careful. I would make sure that you probably have made a contact that that's what I would do. There's tons of options out there, but it doesn't hurt to reach out to somebody. And if I actually learned this from Tammy Frazier, if you reach out to them and they say that they already have a Scentsy consultant, say, awesome, great. Can you please keep me in mind? If you ever do need a Scentsy consultant, please keep me in mind. So, yeah, I would, yeah.
Well, and your own community pages. I mean, yes, I think you have to be careful if you join event pages where a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes, they're just trying to get anybody and everybody but your community pages typically have a calendar, or your community chamber of commerce, or your what's happening in your town Facebook page and you can search on Facebook vendor event and your zip code, and it'll pull up events that are scheduled in the future. It'll pull up events that have happened in the past that you may be able, because don't be discouraged if something pops up and it's already happened. Take that as an opportunity to reach out and find out when it's going to happen again, and if they have space for you. I see a Debbie's hand. I see Nicole's hand. Let me answer Laura's question so we can close that out. Do you need to have a business license? No, you do not have to have a business license. Okay, wait. I'm going.
However, Melissa, not to be confused with it, some states require an EIN numbers. You can get that actually by calling Scentsy.
Yep.
Scentsy actually covers that for each state.
Yes. So the business license typically they ask for that because of sales tax, because of you collecting sales tax. And correct. We do not submit sales tax reports. We're not liable for the sales tax collected at those events, because we pay our sales. We already pay the sales tax on it to Scentsy, and Scentsy remits the sales tax to our states. And so, yes, you can get that information from Scentsy. Ryan also had something that he can tell you about being asked for insurance at an event that he was just doing. So Ryan, I'll get to you in just a second. Debbie, your hand was up. Nicole, your hand was up, and then I'll get to Christina McGregor's question.
I just wanted to add to answer Laura's question. So if you can't find vendor shows, you can always start them yourself. So I became the fundraiser chair on the PTA for both of my kids' schools. So I started a craft show, and we're going on I think it's my 8th year doing a craft show, and they're really well known at the schools now. I did a craft show for an orphanage in Haiti that my friend raises money for. My HOA, my homeowners association, is in debt. I'm doing a craft show for my neighborhood. I did one for the foster closet. So you can always tell people that it's a lot of work, but it's really not hard. And you can always write me and I can tell you how to do it. It's time consuming, but it's pretty easy.
Thanks, Debbie.
Nicole.
I just wanted to say, to circle back to some things you were talking about, something that I learned doing vendor events very early on is that I missed out on a lot of opportunities for follow-up because I did not keep receipts to start or any kind of contact. I mean, it's come a long way now with QR codes and digital things, but I didn't. I was just like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Sold the stuff off my table, good to go. But I couldn't follow through with them. So I missed out on a lot of that opportunity early on. So that's one thing I would strongly suggest that you don't miss out on if you start doing events or even just any kind of customer contact. Always, just make it a good habit. Another thing I wanted to share, did I just lose my train of thought? Oh no. So I used to do events with a friend who sold another product. We used to do a lot of events together. And she actually didn't really do well at events. Now, I could argue that even at poor events, poorly run events, not great quality or well attended events, Scentsy usually does pretty well, I would say. And so they're not usually a great indication on if it was a good or great event or not, because it's usually good for us regardless, I've found in my experience. But she really did poorly at a lot of the events, and she would get really angry and upset with me. We're not friends anymore, by the way. Um, but I found something. There was something that was different about the way that I was running my tables and the way she was running her tables. And she sat in her chair and I was standing up and engaging and talking, and everybody that came past, everybody, I said, hello, good morning, good afternoon, how are you today? Just like Rachel said, and invited them in by being friendly and then kind of seeing where it went organically. Whereas she would sit at her table and decide who she thought was going to spend money or not. And she missed out on a lot of opportunities with that. So I definitely, like they said, and like I'm saying now, would encourage you to just be friendly, be personable, be open. Don't be a creepy car salesman. Just be, engaging and friendly and welcoming, and don't judge a book by its cover because you never know who's going to drop a bunch of money at your table. And give everybody that opportunity, because I saw firsthand that she really did poorly at events. And I think a lot of it had to do with she just wasn't she wasn't present. She wasn't really present and wasn't friendly. So makes
Yeah.
a difference.
Thanks, Nicole.
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay, Ryan, you want to talk about how you were asked for business insurance?
Yep. So I got an event coming up and they required insurance. And I was like, I don't know how I have to get the insurance. So I messaged Scentsy and they gave me product insurance for a couple of months. And then I sent the information to the event and they're like, no, we need general liability insurance. And I just looked around on not Facebook, on the internet, and I found this insurance company. I'll link it in Together We Sent. And for a whole year for a general liability, it was $250, I think it was, and it covers the event. And if I go to another event that needs it, I just put them as the additional insurer, and then I'll be covered.
Yep. And that's something if you were going to do events often, having a business insurance policy, might not be a bad idea. I've carried business insurance since I started doing events. This is not to say you have to. But because I was always worried, I was driving around with a lot of product in my car, and if somebody rear-ended me, my car insurance doesn't cover my product. And so, I needed to have the business, and I wanted that business peace of mind. But like Ryan said, they actually are pretty inexpensive policies if
Right.
you're doing events often, or you do an event that you're going to keep doing and they're asking for liability insurance. It kind of just depends. Dawn put in the chat that people are asking for insurance a lot around where she is lately. It really just, it does kind of depend. Tammy, do you want to field Christina? Thank you, Ryan. Do you want to field Christina's question? It says, so this hasn't happened to her yet, but she's always wondered, what if you show up to an event and there's another Scentsy rep? What do? Flip a coin?
So it depends, you take a look at that. I mean, I think it's how you approach it. I think there's always, personally, I think there's room for many of us. You look at it, although we sell the same product, we're coming to events with different things. And so I think if you approach events with a positive attitude, I mean, you're both there. You both already invested your time. You've packed up your car. You've shown up. You've told people that you're going to be there. Why pack up and go? However it happened, the vendor booked 2 people. It happened. You're there. So make the best of it. And so the way that I always do is I go there and I introduce myself. And the point is you have different things. And so I always tell them, let's make the best of it. When I don't have something, I'm going to refer them to you. So if you kind of know what they have, I'm going to tell them, I don't really carry that, but my friend over there does. You might want to check with them.
Mhm.
And so make the best of it. If you're going to start off the event like, oh my God, they're here and I'm not going to do, I'm not going to do great because they're there. Well, you're already starting the event with a poor attitude, and that's going to carry over to your customers. Now, you can't determine how they're going to feel, and they may be that way. But I always say start with a positive attitude because that's going to carry over to your customers. If they choose to leave, that's up to them. But it's no fault of your own if the vendor actually booked 2 people. Make the best of it. and go from there. Because here we're an attraction business, and customers are attracted to different folks. They may be drawn to you. There may be people drawn to them. Make the best of it.
Yeah.
Because I see people all the time that are like, oh, there can't be two people. Well, actually, Scentsy's policy is not that. It's actually up to the vendor to determine how many Scentsy people they want. People are actually, they keep quoting that, oh, you can't have more than one Scentsy person. They're quoting policy that has been long outdated. Scentsy is no longer in the business of trying to determine or police how many people are there. It is literally up to the vendor, the promoter, to determine how many are there.
Yep.
So if there's 2 people there, there's 3 people there, there's 4 people there. I think it's in the best interest of Scentsy as a whole to have a positive attitude. The last thing that the customers want is to experience somebody who's disgruntled because there's another Scentsy person there.
Yep.
It says a lot
Great,
about our
thanks.
business.
Yep. Rach, your hand is up. Thanks, Tim.
Mhm.
Your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so just real quick, a couple things, talking about if another Scentsy consultant is there or not. At this last vendor event I was at, 2 tables away from me was a homemade wax company that she literally had wax bars that looked like mine that she poured in her house, and right? But it's like there's something for everybody. And the coordinator was like, is this going to be a problem? And I was like, no, definitely not. We all have something for everybody. Like I have something to offer and she has something to offer, and
Yep.
it's totally okay. And there were even some customers that came up to us and was like, we really want to like support them. So like, we're going to do blah, 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 but then we're going to go over there. I'm like, that's fine. Like do it. But what I did raise my hand to say was that somebody who I was talking to, another vendor at my show before last, said, hey, when I was at this X, Y, and Z event, there were 2 Scentsy consultants there. And she's like, the coolest thing happened. Like they both like tag teamed. They were vibing off of each other. They were laughing. They were smiling. They were positive. She's like, I can only think of so many other consultants or companies that would go like this, and where it would be someone would pack up and leave. And she's like, I have to tell you, like, it impressed me so much that like, and she was impressed by Scentsy, like by them. And she's like, how they represented Scentsy and how cool they were. Like that just speaks so much. Like your reaction when we go out places and we're going to events, I'm always wearing something that says Scentsy, and we're not just representing us, but the brand as well. And she's like, I literally went and bought from both of them because I was like inspired by like their girl power. Like, so just, you never know who's watching and what kind of impression you can create,
True.
not just for yourself, but for the company.
You are exactly right. Exactly right. Great add-in. Thanks, Rach. Cindy Abraham, anything that you wanted to we started out by saying, hey Cindy, you want to lead us in the event chat? And now here we are, like a couple minutes before the end of the call, we're getting to Cindy. So Cindy.
Oh, you're fine. I think that Rachel pretty much knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I kind of do basically the same thing she does. I just try to engage with them. I don't right off the bat try to sell things to them. 9 times out of 10 they're going to come up to you telling you what they need. Usually bulbs and wax. So, but like she said, there are still tons of people out there that have never heard of Scentsy, and it's mind-blowing to us, but it's also awesome because you get to introduce them to it, and the reasons that you love it. So I like that we're still meeting new people at events that have never used our products before. And then the follow-up, I kind of do what you do with the QR code and getting their information, and then I send them just a follow-up message later that evening, like, thanks for stopping by my booth. It was great to meet you. So always follow-up is key. So make sure you're getting that customer contact information.
Yes.
But that's pretty much it.
And Dawn Danner dropped in the chat. Thank you, Sin.
Yep.
Dawn Danner dropped in the chat. A good tip: write notes about the person on the back of their paper or on the back of their order form or their customer contact sheet, whatever they bought, their interests, what you talked to them about, so that you remember that person. And she's saying she uses the Scentsy drawing slips, but that's great for following up, because it's one thing to say, thanks for coming out to the event this weekend. And it's a totally different thing to say, thank you so much for coming out to the event this weekend. I so enjoyed talking to you about blah, blah, blah. And thank you for making me smile. Whatever. It's a lot harder for somebody to ignore a message like that that's complimenting them or engaging them in something that they can recall than it is by just making a blanket statement. So, Kristen, your hand's up.
Yeah. Hey, how would you gauge whether or not an event is best for online orders versus how much stock? Because I mean, you should always bring something so they can smell things or try products or have a warmer going if there's electricity and whatever. But like, how would you suggest you gauge that? Like, I'm going to an event next month, actually, which I'm really excited about. It's a women's retreat over a whole weekend, and I'm a vendor there for the whole weekend. But that's gonna be like a small group of people, right? So I probably would do less product and more like most likely online orders. But how would you suggest gauging that?
I mean, it's not. I don't know enough about the event or I don't know enough, but what I
Like, because I've done events for like Christmas holiday time, and I've done both. I've done it twice. And the first time I was like, well, they're gonna want to take something, right? They're gonna want like a
Sure.
stocking stuffer or whatever.
Sure.
And no one took my stock, really. Most people ordered. And so the next time I did, less stock, and then no one bought anything because people were looking for it. So like that kind of thing. So I'm just trying to understand if there's a way to maybe figure out what stock to bring.
There isn't, only because I can show up to an event and think that I have a ton of stuff, and Tammy, back me up. You always place an order for something for somebody. They will always want something that you don't have on your table. Like, I don't bring 80 room sprays in every scent. I don't bring every scent circle in every scent. There will always be something that somebody wants that you don't have. So that's why that question is kind of relative, because you could bring 10 things and somebody might want one of those 10. You could bring 150 things and somebody still wants something that you could order, that you have to order. So I would gauge it. But what'd you say?
I know it's impossible. It's
hard. But you also have to gauge it. Like, how long is the event? How much space do you have? How long do you have to set up? How easy, there's factors that go into it. And my mentality is always, they can't buy what they can't see. So take what you're willing to display.
Kristen, is the event, is it intentionally for buying, or is buy-in secondary and the retreat is the primary?
The retreat is the primary, but there
Okay.
are other vendors that are set up. So it's like a wellness thing where they're having like yoga and like sound bath like stuff. But
Okay.
the person hosting it is trying to do a window for selling.
Okay. So I think what I would do is I would definitely at least bring your testers so they can smell everything. And then I might bring 1 or 2 products, a few of those that focus around wellness, so something that might, bring a common sense. So maybe showcase like fragrance flowers, some things that are very simple, that, hey, this is a great, that you can put this, or the Scentsy Go. Like Scentsy Go is something very easy to go that helps with, calming and whatever, because that seems what the retreat's about, and really market it. Because I find when you take a product and you market it, that's what you're going to sell.
Yep.
Like, but the scent, they got to smell it. You got to get that under their nose, whatever it is. And I think since selling is the secondary, I would focus on a couple products that you could market to that wellness type group and really focus on that.
Yep.
Okay. That's a great idea.
And really push that, Scentsy is great, but for the wellness, I'm really focusing on this. And I just want to show you how Scentsy blends into the wellness and Zen and that type of stuff.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tam. And that was a great idea, Nicole, air purifier too.
Mhm.
What were you going to say, Nicole?
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I look at the events, I usually gauge it based on what is the event about. If it's like a children's event, I might focus heavier on like buddies, kind of just like what Tammy was saying, but I might focus more on like buddies and buddy clips and that kind of thing. Or if it's like an outdoorsy type event, or an office event, I might do more pods and those kinds of things. If like I'm questioning what to bring or not to bring, or if it's limited space or things like that. But honestly, I can do an event in the same location multiple times, and there's always a different bestseller of the day. So you can't even really be sure what is or isn't going to go over well. So I think exactly what Tammy said is probably exactly what I would do too. Just a
Yeah.
sampling of things that they can see, touch, experience that kind of center around the idea of the retreat. Good luck.
Thank you.
And Kristen, Debbie dropped some feedback for you in the chat as well. One thing I wanted to say, and then I know we're running a little bit long. I want Rand to have an opportunity to tell us who our winner is for tonight. But one other thing is, it's okay to ask questions back to an event coordinator as well. Don't think that you can't ask them how long the event has been going on. Like, is this the first year? Is this the 30th year? That'll give you an idea to what type of establishment that the event has. You are also able to ask, how many people do you expect? How are you advertising this event? Because if a coordinator comes back to me and says, well, I'm hoping that all the vendors that are going to be participating use word of mouth, that gives me an idea that it's not well known in the area if they're relying on vendors to word of mouth, basically their circles of customers, to let them know about the events. Still not saying that's not a bad event, or still not saying that's a bad event, but it gives you an idea on what to expect, because you certainly if you're going into an event where they're advertising with street signs on every major intersection of your town, there's probably going to be heavier traffic at the event than if they're just relying on people, telling their friends and family. So it's okay for you to ask questions of the event coordinator as well, so that you get a better understanding. And as always, like those of us that do events, and really any of our leadership team, if you come across an event and the price for the event is $200, you're more than welcome to message any of us and say, hey, would you take a look at this event for me and see if it's, would you do this for $200 based on it being a 4-hour event and blah, blah, blah. Because I've done that for many of my girls. And I've done that where I've kind of taken a look and let them know if I thought that it was worth the value. And always, you're going to have tables that are free. You're going to have tables that are $20. You're going to have tables that are $200. It just kind of depends. And, but you never know who you're going to meet. You never know the opportunity you might miss out on. You just have to gauge if it is something that you want to and are willing to do. Tammy, anything else you wanted to add?
I think we hit it tonight. I mean, we
Okay.
could go on this topic forever.
I
but
know.
I think the point is if anybody finds an event, has any questions specific to that event, or has any additional questions, we are here to help you to answer those specific questions. I would say go for it. Just try it. There's nothing that you can do wrong.
Yep. That's true.
So,
and if you come home with one new contact, that's one more person that you talk to, and you never know, because remember, every person that you meet has a circle of influence of about 250 people. So meeting one person could open the door for you to their circle of friends and family and people that trust them. So
absolutely.
Thank you for all of your input and feedback and chat questions tonight. As always, like Tammy said, if you have more questions, we love to talk about events. And so we're happy to help you. All right, Rand,
Real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, like, anybody who's looking for events, especially like on Facebook or some other like social media, that if you're new, just make sure that you're double checking like the events themselves. A lot of times you'll see like Facebook events with like flyers and stuff. Just like verify, and if that means like calling like the actual place, like if it's supposed to be at whatever place, just call the place itself, not necessarily the contact that's on the flyer, but the actual place, and make sure that there is in fact supposed to be a an event happening, because there are so many people out there that are scammers, and especially if like they want you to PayPal them, or friends and family, just be very, very cautious. There's a lot that are true and they're fine, but there's a lot that are scammers out there. So please just be careful.
Yep. Thanks, Abe. And that's another reason why I like asking questions of the event coordinator that goes beyond just sending them money.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. And so thank you for that piece, Amy. Rand, do you have enough of a voice?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm like a frog, but okay. All right, here we go. Jessica Nilsson.
Jessica Nelson. That's our winner tonight. Yay!
Well, if you could just
Yeah, sounds good.
make
Jessica,
sure
make sure
and
you send her the address. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
for you. Make sure
Yes.
that you send the address. We're not going to go off the address that is in your Scentsy account. Please send Andrea your correct address so she can send it to you.
Yes.
We want to make sure that it does not get sent back.
And that's a good public service announcement to everybody. Make sure your addresses or your addresses are correct on your workstation, because Rand has had a couple of the Zoom giveaways returned back to her, and that always stinks because you pay for shipping and then it comes back to you and then you
gotta pay for it again.
You gotta pay for it again. So make sure that your addresses are up to date on your workstation. And if you are a winner going forward on Zoom, then you'll just shoot Andrea Hatch a Facebook message with your mailing address so that we make sure that we get your happy mail to you. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. I hope this hot topic, at least scratched the surface for you, answered one of your questions, or maybe got you thinking about events a little bit deeper or more. And we appreciate you. I'll see some of you on Cubicle tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Tuesday night.